Hey everybody, welcome. Just hanging out tonight, testing out Starlink, seeing if it works or not. The last time I did this, it was a complete bomb. It was a fail. And I figure we'll give it a test together tonight just to see if it works out. So there's only a few of you guys in here so far, but we'll give them a little time to kind of show up. But what I want to do is just answer some of your questions that I've seen come through in some of the latest videos, number one. Also just hang out. And if any of you guys want to join me live, you can do that. And I'll tell you how to do that in just a minute. I'll put a link that you can go to. So if you have a webcam and a mic, you're all good. You can jump in here with me in a little bit. Anyways, any kind of questions that you have, definitely throw them in the chat. That'll be great. I'll go through them and I'll answer those also. Have a little bit of music playing in the background. If it's too loud, let me know and I will turn it down. It's kind of loud for me, so I'm gonna turn it down for myself. Anyways, I hope everyone's having a good evening, kind of hanging out. It's one of these nights that I figure it's a good night to actually test this thing out because there is clear skies here in sunny South Florida, so can't beat that. Before I start, I want to do a quick speed test. You know, I always do this because I always want to I want to check to see how Starlink is doing. I'm also going to put a ping probably on the screen, but for right now, I'm going to do a speed test. Let me see if I can bring you aboard here with this speed test. Let me see here. It doesn't look like it, but that's all right. I'm gonna run this speed test and see what we get in the background. It'll probably start hiccuping when it starts doing the upload side, but we'll see how this ends up going. If I start hiccuping, you know why. Anyways, how's it going down here? Who do we have? Unbroken, John Hill, how you doing? JC Salvarado, how you doing? Appreciate you being here. Mike, thank you for being here. So, let's see what we got. We got 150.88 down and we're getting about 6 meg up, and that's while I'm also streaming. So that's not too bad. All right. We're just going to cut that so it doesn't get too terribly horrible here. Let me go ahead also. Let me throw this link into the chat window. And if anyone wants to go there, you can. Hangout, that's kind of like the green room. If you show up, I'll know that you're there. I could bring you on board and kind of switch people on and off. So anyways, that's that. That's all you need is a mic and a webcam. Doesn't really make a difference. So if you want to do that, you can do that. Let me see. Let me make sure everything is working properly here. It looks like it is. Okay, good, excellent, excellent. Good. So anyways, let me start out by saying that the last video, not today's video, but the video that I did just before that, let me see, what was it entitled? It was something like, here we go. Here's how to fix my Starlink internet outage problem. And I got a ton of questions there. It was like, let me see, like over 100 comments. And I want to go through some of them. A couple of them were asking me about why I'm using the router that the router that I'm using. Anyways, the bottom line here is the reason I did that video is a lot of you guys asked me what router am I using to accommodate multiple WANs or multiple ISPs, multiple internet service providers into one, basically aggregating them. And I've tried probably, I don't know, at least a half dozen, maybe more so far. And the reason why I did the video on this UTT is because a lot of you guys asked me for that one. And the reason being is because it worked out pretty well in the past when I did a review on it, but it was really affordable, it was really cheap. So the price on it is if your Prime was like 60 bucks or something, $62 or something like that. Right now, I'm doing a test. I can't reach it from here, but I'm testing I think it's a PepLink Balance 20X. And that's like more like $500. So I understand people are trying to, you know, stay affordable. They want something that gives them the value for a lower cost. Now, I did get some people saying, oh, you know, this company might be out of business. I don't know. It might be. I really don't know. I just know that the first one that I tested didn't work out too well. And the reason it didn't work out well, I really don't know, but I think it has something to do with either firmware or I got just a lemon. I don't know which one. But what it would do is it would switch from your ISP number one to ISP number 2 when ISP number 1 went down. Let's call it WAN 1 and WAN 2. But the problem was it would never switch back once WAN 1 came back up online. And when I bought this, I returned that unit. Obviously, it was defective. Something was wrong with it. When I bought this one, again, to do this review that I just did 2 videos ago or whatever, I just didn't have a problem. It literally just worked. It swapped from WAN 1 to WAN 2 when WAN 1 went down. And when WAN 1 came back up, it just swapped back from WAN 2 back to WAN 1. So it just worked. Also, I tried load balancing with it, and that worked too. Load balancing is like an aggregate of the 2 signals or the 2 ISPs to give you a little bit either more throughput or more balanced, hence the name load balancing. So if one goes down, you really don't even know it because then it shuttles the packets to the other ISP instead of the first ISP, so on and so forth. Anyways, let me see in the chat window here, what do we have here? It's buffering a little bit. That's Unbroken said that. Yeah, that's probably when I was doing the test. Keep me informed, all right? If it keeps buffering, let me know. Let me see. John says, I'm on Starlink here in the UK. Awesome. On a boat. I love that. Using that maritime Starlink. That is pretty awesome. I think it's pretty cool what they can do with this thing. It's amazing. I think that people don't realize how big this is going to be. You know, I got on board beta, right? I don't want to just talk Starlink because there might be people wanting to talk about cameras and all kinds of other stuff. So don't think this is like a Starlink stream and that's it. It's just, that's what we're talking about right now. Anyways, this thing I think is going to be so massive, so big. I think that it will become eventually its own internet. And I know it sounds kind of odd and kind of like woo-woo or something, but it can definitely happen. A non-terrestrial type of internet. And once you see, their goal of like 42,000 satellites in LEO, in low Earth orbit, I think things are just going to get nuts, okay? Bear in mind, supposedly at the beginning here now of 2023, they're going to be launching those version 2 versions of the satellites. And those satellites are going to be more like NOCs or network operations centers. So they're going to be a lot bigger. The problem that they're having is they can't stuff these things into the cone, into the nose of the Falcon 9 rockets. They need the heavy to be able to take it up there. Well, that's not too far away, all right? So once we start seeing those version 2 satellites up there with all of the laser communication plus the just girth of them, they're so much bigger and heavier. They're just massive. I think that these things are going to become the network centers or the NOCs or the COs, depends on what you know, or central office type of thing, for their entire network. So the way I imagine this is all of these like NOCs will be able to communicate to each other via satellite connection. I mean, through laser connection, so at the speed of light, right? And then send their signals to the smaller satellites, let's call them. The version 1s, the 1.5s or whatever. Now, the version 1s do not have any type of laser communication, so the only way to get them the data is they have to go down to the ground, a ground station, to a POP or a point of presence, and then back up. Kind of slow, right? But the version 1.5s and the 2.0s do have laser communication built into them, so they'll literally be able to just laser the data non-terrestrial. I mean, I just think it just blows my mind. And I think it's going to be powerful. It's going to be powerful, but we just don't know as of yet how powerful. And that's why I did a piece talking about how these people were doing speculation on how much, who was it, like the Motley Fool or something, and saying that, it's going to only be worth like $1 billion. It's like, are you out of your damn minds? I mean, this thing has like just an infinite amount of money that they can make, that Elon can make with this thing. So anyways, just remember what I'm saying. You'll see. In about a year from now, you'll be like, holy hell. So anyways, let's get back into here. How you doing, Anthony? Appreciate you being here. Unbroken says webcam or phone cam. It really doesn't make a difference, however you want to do it. Let me see if anyone is in here as of yet. No one's in there. You can jump in either which way, as long as you have a mic. Let's see. California getting bashed right now. I can imagine. Let me see, Martin. How you doing, Martin? Welcome. It says your channel used to be great before you became obsessed with Starlink. I appreciate that, Martin. I mean, I know. A lot of people have been with me since the very beginning, and I've always been a photo, video, tech channel, but I always gravitated towards photo because I am a professional photographer, all right? I've been doing photography for over 2 decades, but I also do videography, I do video, I'm a cam operator, there's a lot, I wear a lot of hats. Anyways, so I do a lot of professional work in that, I guess, frontier, because that's what it is as of today. It's not the way it used to be, right? Everything has become technology. So when I talk about cameras these days, or if I talk about video cameras, like in one of the jobs that I work on, they use EVA 1s, Panasonic EVA 1s. These things are literally just so far advanced. They have more computing power than the machine that I first, let's say, I guess it was Apple II and a Commodore VIC-20 and a Sinclair, I think. So all of these machines, even like an Apple II, Apple II Plus, way back in the day, these things were so weak compared to what these cameras are. So I think that everything is technology. So talking about Starlink has just kind of been just one of those things that I ended up getting a Starlink because I am in a rural environment and I've always had absolute shit, okay, service. And it's just sad. It is literally sad. And that's why I talk about that digital divide all the time of the haves and have-nots. The people that do not have high-speed internet access, they don't even they don't get it actually having it, And the people that have it, look at the people that don't, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. What is the whole thing all about? Well, if you haven't had it forever and then you finally get it, you start talking about it because you're like amazed. And that's what happened with me with Starlink. And I was in there at the very end of beta, came in with alpha, the very first unit I think I have. Anyways, it was revolutionary because we went from AT&T that is a 15 meg connection, right, with a 1.5 meg upload speed to now having like 200 megs down instead of 15 and 10, 15, 20 megs up compared to 1. So it's like night and day. Before, when I was on the old system, I couldn't even be talking to you right now because I would look like a Minecraft character doing this, like all pixelated. All right. So anyways, that's the skinny Martin, but I do appreciate your comment. I do. Let me see here. Let me go into some of the other ones. Great Toll, welcome. Appreciate you being here. Peter Manson, appreciate you. Let's see. Gray. Who else? Cooley, the dude. Anthony, welcome. Let me go through a couple of these questions. So Gary says you need to try to pass through mode on the failover router. Yeah, I hear you. I get it. The reason I didn't do a pass through is that I wanted to make it super, super simple and in such a way that we get the least amount of crosstalk, let's say, or it's a hard thing to tell people to say, listen, I want you to go into your router right now and I want you to disable it and now say only this router is going to be doing the work. And while that's great and everything, and I know how to bring it back and how to get them back to factory, well, once they do that, they no longer can see their stats. They don't know what's going on unless they punch a hole. There's like a lot of things that go into it. And, I didn't want to get too deep. I wanted it to be super simple and end up with very little. I haven't seen any kind of NAT problems, but it could happen because you have one that's broadcasting over .254 and the other one off .1, whatever the case is. Anyways, so that's kind of the skinny about that. Let's see here. Bear with me here. Let's see. What else? Manson, love the shirt. Peter Manson, there you go. What do you think? Life After Adobe. This was from my Life After Adobe Cutting the Cord series. I cut my teeth on that series. People absolutely loved it. I brought people on this journey where I took the entire studio and some of the studios that I work in out of the Adobe ecosphere. So instead of buying all the time these Adobe suites for thousands and thousands of dollars, we just stopped cold turkey and ended up going with a lot of different packages. And when I did that, I brought people along with me. So if you want to know anything about this Life After Adobe Cutting the Cord series, this thing that I did, take a look at my playlist. You can just look at everything. I reviewed every single alternative to Adobe software. I don't care what it is. It could be InDesign, Premiere, Photoshop, Lightroom, whatever. They're all there. So go and check that out. It was a lot of fun. Someone here is in the chat here. Let me see if I can bring you in. Hang in there. That'd be kind of cool if we can bring someone in. Let's see. Let me do it and see if it ends up working. Might as well, right? We're testing things out today. All right, here we go. Let's see if this ends up working. There we go. Maybe. Maybe not. Here we go. Let's see. Maybe. Yes. You're on. All right. Can you hear me? That's the question. No, I don't have your audio. Let me see. We'll just keep working that out until we get your audio because I can't hear you. Let me see here. Maybe now. Do an audio test. Just give me a test. No, I can't hear you. All right, let me see if there's something that is in my settings or yours. Let's see here. Nope, that should be good. Maybe. No. Do you see if does it show like if your audio's coming through? Maybe. I could see you talking, but I'm not getting it. So hang in there just a second. Let me see if it's something on my side. It could be. All right. No, it doesn't look like it's coming through. Huh. Interesting. Well. Oh, I'm hearing something. There you are.
There we go.
All right. Let me see. I'm hearing myself too, so you're going to have to just, if you swap me out of your ears, then you'll probably be able to, you won't get that double. And if you want, with your camera, if you want to just swap it, because you're probably on the phone, right? If you want to just flip it horizontal, that'll pop in the other way too. So there it is. Check that out. All right. Let me see if I can hear you now. Go ahead and speak. Let me see if it comes through.
Yep, how about now? Can you hear me?
There you go.
Perfect.
There it is. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
See that? This actually worked. That's sweet. I like it. I like it a lot. So let me just ask you. So give me your name real quick.
Yeah, so my name's Joe. I'm up at Northeast Pennsylvania.
Okay, and it was Joe or Joel?
Joe.
Gotcha. So if you look at, let me go over here. What I'm going to do is you're going to see a delay. So I'm going to send you my feed just in that window where you came on board. I'm going to send you my feed so that this way you won't have to kind of wait to hear me. But hang in there one second. Let me go ahead and do that real quick here. You'll be able to see me in just a second. All right. There we go. So now if you listen to me over there on that other one, you should be able to hear me. It'll be real time now. Can you hear me real time now?
Yep, I can hear you perfect.
Okay, perfect. So give me some background.
All right. Yeah, so I mean I've been on Starlink now since I got the package in March of last year, so obviously they send it in the wintertime. Can't do squat in the wintertime when I got snow on the roof. So
Right.
Waited until April, May, got everything installed, and I mean so far so good. The speeds have definitely degraded since we put it in the May time frame. But I tell you what, I mean we were on Verizon DSL here since we moved into the house because there's no other provider available in the area. So what we've been getting off of DSL was maybe 1.5 meg download,
Uh-huh.
two on a good day. So with the Starlink, even though in the beginning we were around 200 meg download, which was awesome, right now we're averaging like around 60 to 80, which is still a far cry from what we have from DSL. So even though it's a degraded service, hopefully with this 2.0 service coming into play, maybe it will get better, but definitely don't have any complaints with what we got now with the service.
Yeah, no, that's still quite fast. The same thing with my service. It's amazing to me how much better it is compared to the way it what we had before with AT&T. And like I was talking about with the digital divide, if you don't have high-speed internet access, you don't realize what you're missing. And the same thing the other way around. If you have high-speed internet access, let's say if you have fiber, when you look at someone that doesn't have it, you're like, I don't get it. Like, what's a big deal? Because you're used to having it. But when you're in a rural environment, these companies have been saying that they want to provide, internet for all and high speed for all and all of this nonsense. And a lot of these providers have been getting kickbacks from the government for so damn long and been doing this much in comparison to with what Elon Musk has been doing. He got a kickback from the government, but he's actually been giving back to the rural community. Now, of course, as of late, we're seeing a degradation, obviously degradation in the speed. And the reason being is oversold. And I talk about that all the time. That's the one thing that I want everyone to kind of understand with this channel is that I'm not a fanboy for anyone or anything. So I don't really care. I'm just going to, call it as I see it. And, as of right now, like you said, the speeds are definitely slower what they were at the beginning. When I started out, I was getting, close to 300 megs down and about 35 to 40 megs up, which was insane for that $110 per month. But now, since now that we have these restrictions, we have data caps that are going on, but also we have that throttling that I talked about since day one, and people were thinking, they're like, you're crazy, they don't throttle, blah, blah, blah. Trust me, they were throttling. And now what they're doing is they're throttling to a 100 meg by 10 meg is what they're trying to give everyone. And the problem is the 10 meg, it's very hard for them to achieve it. And you see a lot of people that are fluctuating between, 5 and 10 megs, sometimes a little bit higher, not by much. But the down speed, what people don't understand is they keep that almost wide open. The down speed is almost what is available is what you're going to get, which is kind of cool. You can't complain about that. Let me see here. So let me just ask you real quick. The connection that you have, how long have you had it? How long have you had the Starlink, did you say?
Put it in about May of last year's.
Oh, okay.
So, a little over a year.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're getting close to that year, that just about or so. So yeah, I'm sure. So you've seen basically a fast speed down to a little bit slower, but still, it's usable. Let's say, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, with the pandemic hit, I mean, when we were on DSL, we were teleworking, right? So we had teleworking, we had medical appointments that were via virtual. The kids they were on full virtual from school. So
Right.
trying to share, telework between my wife and I, and then with the kids and doing virtual, 1.5, 2 meg service just wasn't cutting it.
Right.
So I mean, we had letters out to our supervisors in the township just to see what they could do. They were trying to get some of the ISPs, the local ISPs together to see what they can do to run, either hard lines, copper, fiber, or whatever was needed to run over to our, where we live. But, it was the same excuse over and over again from these ISPs saying, hey, the residential minimum doesn't meet the requirements to run any kind of hard line through the, over the telephone poles that were in existence. And they said if you
Right.
wanted to connect to it, you have to pay out of pocket like some astronomical number for them to run the lines through the power lines. And then of course there's going to be a hookup fee, which we're talking it was in the thousands of dollars to hook up to their service. So at
Right.
that time I'm like, screw this, we'll just put the order through Starlink. It took about a year, and when we finally got it, it was like a night and day difference. Like canceling Verizon DSL. was probably one of the best phone calls I've ever made to a big box company.
I bet. I bet. Let me go through a couple of these comments here. What do we have here? We have Cooley says, "What's a good portable power source for photogenics so you can use on location?" I mean, power sources really depend on how rural your location is. I'm going to be starting to do a whole series on solar. But I'm working on that and getting equipment. And my idea is to be able to take Starlink completely off grid, even though I have electricity here without a problem. I'm not that rural, but I think it would be very powerful to be able to get it completely, let's say, renewable, where it just does its own thing. So solar during the day into batteries, battery run it towards, throughout the night, and then once again recharging the batteries at during the day. I'm doing some mathematics to see exactly how much is needed. Now, I'm in South Florida, so the amount of draw that I will have on the unit with that heater off is going to be a lot less than someone that's up north that now has, instead of a pull of 50 watts, let's say, that it's going to have 150 or 170 watts because it needs to melt snow off the dish's face. So it's going to be a little bit different, but I'm going to take that into consideration also. Let me see. The dude says they're laying fiber in my backyard right now. You are lucky. Now, let me just say, I know Martin was saying, why don't you get off this, Starlink thing after, that would be great. I tell you what, if they would lay fiber in my backyard, you won't hear me talk about Starlink ever again. All right. No, I'm just kidding. I'll still talk about it. But the bottom line is if you can get fiber, all right, Starlink or any other service is pretty much moot at that point. Fiber is the end goal that people should have. That being said, Starlink is a great backup. All right. People don't understand that either, but Starlink is a fantastic backup. So once again, like I was doing this dual WAN thing, well, if your fiber goes down, because sometimes there are lines that get cut, and I've had people that I know that are out for either a day, sometimes a week, because a major fiber line was cut. If they had Starlink, it wouldn't even make a difference. Once again, they wouldn't even know that they were down because the router would automatically flip from WAN 1 to WAN 2, and that's it. They would just keep on going about their merry way. So there's a reason to having multiple WANs. Let me see here. Unbroken says maybe try trading in much possible. Okay, the Lumex S5 II. You try it. I have not tried that S5 II. I think that thing is going to be a really great camera because Panasonic finally got their shit straight and decided to put dual pixel AF into it. Let's just call it. They call it hybrid. What do they call it? Hybrid phase detection, whatever. Basically, it's contrast detection plus phase detection married together, and that's what they're using. This is stuff that has been used for over a decade, and Panasonic has always said that we don't need it. And every time I've talked to the heads over there at Panasonic in the past, when I used to interview these people at PPE, at Photo Plus Expo, or at WPPI, or wherever, when we used to do the show, the Digital Photography Cafe show for a decade, they would always say the exact same thing. You don't need phase detection. The contrast detection is great, and then we'll just beef up the strength of the camera itself so it can do the contrast detection faster. It would never work. All right, and this is what they would always do. And the same thing with their sensor. They always did the micro four thirds. And they said that's all that a professional needs is a micro four thirds. And now what did they do? S1, S5, so on and so forth. It is full frame mirrorless. So I'm glad that they finally got it together. And I think the S5 II is the beginning of that. But I think the next iteration is going to be even better. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I think it's going to be a really, I haven't tested it, but I think it's going to be a good camera. Let's see. Anthony says, I'm melting cables. I have mine set to on all the time. So Ken, I haven't been seeing issues with the cable. Okay, so I did a piece today about cables melting. And Anthony was talking about he didn't have a problem and he has his set to always on. What I found is, doing more research on this, the shorter cables have less of a problem, number one. Number two, if you have a Generation 1 unit, the cables are a little bit better than the Generation 2. The Generation 2 cables are proprietary cables. They're like Cat 5, Cat 6 cables. They're kind of thin, and they have those proprietary ends on it. If you have a Generation 1, you could use like a Cat 5 cable if you want. That is a burial type of cable that has a ton, that's thick as hell, right? And you're not going to have as much of a problem. And a lot of people are running these not just 75 feet, but 100 and 150 foot or whatever the full length runs. The longer the cable, the more amps, the more load on these things, and they burn out. Okay, so that's kind of like the skinny behind that. You know, they need to fix it through software, and they need to fix it through actual cabling itself. They need to use a thicker cable, thicker gauge cable, period, end of story. I don't think they thought some shit like that. I don't think that they thought that this thing was going to be heating up, you know, on max, you know, at 170 watts at X number of amps all day, every day as it's melting snow continuously. I don't think they really, you know, thought about that too well. That being said, they can fix that, like I said in the video today, they can fix it through a means of, let's say, cycling. So, you know, on, off, maybe on for 10 minutes, off for 10 minutes, on for 10 minutes, whatever. And you still wouldn't have that snow or sleet or ice or any kind of buildup. And it would give that cable time to kind of cool down, all right, and not melt. Is a lot of people are, what I've found and I've read in these comments, I think it's over 100 comments from today already in just a couple hours, that a lot of people have went out and their service is out and it's taking them days and sometimes weeks to get the replacement cables. You don't want that. That's not good. Definitely not good. Let me see here. Who else do we have? Let's see. How you doing, Chris? Chris says, I feel the pain. It was exactly the issue with Comcast. Told me that it'd be $30,000 to run a line half a mile. Yeah, Comcast. So your issue, Chris, with Comcast wanting $30,000 to run a line, a cable, a copper wire, a fat copper to your home, they wanted to charge me $52,700 to run a line to me. That the exact number. And this was about 2 years ago when I spoke to them. $52,700 or $52,800, right? I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I'm like, what are you, running cable to the whole community? That's just to me. I said, you're out of your damn mind. And that was like the end of that. So yeah, I feel you, Chris. I feel you. This is how these people get away with it. And once again, Comcast, all of these major providers, AT&T, all of them, they're getting subsidies from the government to bring people on board, and they're not doing it. And they're just doing a small, tiny bit of people and saying, oh yeah, we did it. They're not doing it, all right? They're not doing it. Let's see what else we have here. Ari says, this is what I have right now. He's got the 3.4, okay. Not well, 32, let's call it 33 megs down and 8.61 up. That's not too bad, all right? Nothing to scarf at, considering the 1 meg that I'm getting, so 8 meg is good. I'm also getting 8 meg. The only thing is my down speed in my location is like about 150 to 200, so my down speed is definitely bigger or faster. Let me see here. Jim says, appreciate the video updates, Starlink, not many units in Maine. So that's having less units in your area is actually really good. It's really good. Been reliable. It's West Central is where you're at. Growing pains with Starlink. Yes, absolutely. So where I am, and I don't know about you, Joe, over there, I'm in a location where I have I guess it's a KOA that's close to me and a park. Well, when that KOA fills up, right, with campers and with with all of these people, the RVs, and they're all down, my service degrades. That's just how it is. And the reason being is normally, let's say we have 50 people with Starlink in my area. I'm just coming up with this number. Then all of a sudden, when something big is happening at the park, now we have 500 people in the area, 10 times as many. I can feel it, all right? So having not a lot of people near you is fantastic. Look at this. Peter Manson says, that he has 1 gig up and 1 gig down. You're an ass. That's it. I don't know what else to say. That is awesome, though. I would love that. Could you imagine 1 gig up, 1 gig down? I don't even know what, I don't know what I would do with it, right? I don't know what I would do with it. That would be fun. How about you, Joe? Wouldn't that be good? It'd be good, right? I can't hear you again. Oh, your audio went. Is it coming through? Let me see. There we go. No, it's not coming through. Why? I wonder why that's not coming through again. See if you can knock on it a little bit. I'll tell you when you come back through. Let me see. Riding fiber since 2008. Thank God. That is fantastic. David B says once they figure out quantum entanglements, yeah. We're going to wait for that. We'll have an unlimited speed, zero latency everywhere in the universe. Yeah. The zero latency, that's really what it is, too. A lot of people don't understand latency and how important that is. If you are a gamer or something, you know how important latency is. And folks that used to be on satellite for so many years, what was it? Hughes Network, HughesNet, and a couple of other ones. I think I'm hearing you now, Joel. I think I hear you. Oh, there you are. You're back. All right, cool. So they've been, with this, the latency problem has always been there with satellite because they're sitting very, very high over Earth, right? So now that we have these low Earth orbit satellites, these LEO satellites, the latency is down to next to nothing. I mean, right now, you know what? Let me do this, all right? Let me show you my ping. Let me see. Can we do it? Did it do it? It did it. All right. You see this, guys? On the screen, you'll see my ping. That ping is running since the beginning of this broadcast. And we can see, what do we got here? Right now, 38 milliseconds, 36, 40, 40, 44, 48, 31, 33, 39. Not bad, right? Not bad at all. You cannot complain with that. So these are really good pings considering I am broadcasting to YouTube. I'm getting, a feed this way, that way, and everything. It's not bad. But one of the problems is, I'm going to take this ping off the screen so we don't have to see that anymore. Let me see. There we go. The problem is the ping is at 30 to 40 right now is because I'm going through a point of presence that's in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. Whereas before, when they had me hooked up to the pop down here in Miami, which is only 70 miles away in comparison to 700, I had a ping that was about 24. I used to get every once in a while like 19, 20 milliseconds. If you're a gamer, 19 milliseconds is pretty good. I mean, you can game, first person shooter 19 milliseconds all day long. But now we're sitting at 30, 40. It's still not bad because if you go to anyone that's on Hughes Network, and their HughesNet is like, what is that like? Or ViaNet, anyway, any of these satellites, they're sitting at like 100 plus pings, crazy pings, sometimes even worse, 150 or higher. What do you normally gain, Joel, on your ping? What's your latency?
Average pings, like maybe 37, 38. It's not too bad. I think the highest I've seen it here on occasion might be like just over 50, but for the most part, we're well under 50.
Can't beat that. I mean, that's definitely doable. You can't beat that at all. So anyways, I mean, that's one of the things that people take, they don't take into consideration is latency. That's very, very important, especially if you're doing any type of live feed. Let's say you're doing a Zoom conference or anything like that. Not even a first-person shooter, but just basic things. And now that we are all working out of home, it seems these days, after the pandemic, it's really important to have a low latency connection. So let me see here. What else do we have? Storm, okay. Lonnie, appreciate you being here. When I first moved to my current house in September 2020, I signed up and paid for Spectrum. Oh, God. All right. 2 weeks later, they called me back and said, pay $70,000 to run lines. $70,000. Holy crap. That's worse than my $52,000 plus that I got from Comcast. Holy hell. I signed for Starlink, and there you go. He was one of the first wave in beta. So congratulations. And you see what I'm talking about. I know, talking about this stuff sometimes, if you're not into it, it kind of gets a little bit, that people don't really get it. But in a situation like that, here's someone that to get high-speed internet access would have to pay $70,000, and they were able to pay, $500 for the equipment, let's just call it, plus $110 a month, and now have high-speed internet access. It's amazing. It's life-changing for sure. Let's see. Ari says, I'm expecting fiber in spring. Congratulations. That's awesome. Let's see. David says, kickbacks from who? People don't understand how big the U.S. is. Yeah. So the kickbacks that a lot of these entities get are from the federal government, and those kickbacks are large, and they do nothing for them. Or next to nothing. It's quite sad. Rick, how you doing? Rick says, how's it going? I'm a neighbor in Ocala. Oh, wow. Yeah, we're down here in West Palm. Appreciate you keeping us informed on Starlink and coming technologies surrounding it. Thank you very much, Rick. I do appreciate that. I try to cover, once again, photo, video, and tech. The tech, a lot of it has to do with Starlink, but I've been doing a lot of this router series too, and it doesn't really have to be about Starlink. I did an entire mesh network series that really went over well with people, and I gave people a step-by-step on how to do this. And that ended up being really good. Let's see, we'll be in photo. Welcome. 180 down by 110 up. 7 milliseconds in Scotland with fiber. I love that you say this, Wolvian Photography. I really love this because I have family members in Germany, I have family members in Sicily, I have family members in all different parts of the EU. And what the folks in the United States don't understand is how sad and pathetic our internet service is here. Now, the people that have fiber will be like, yeah, you're crazy. I'm not crazy. And the reason being is the rural areas of the United States are so just underserved. You would not believe it. I have family members in the mountains in Sicily that literally have fiber. And if they don't have fiber, they have 5G that's like as fast as fiber almost, right? Their internet connection in Germany, in Essen, their internet connection is so just built out in comparison to the US. It is pathetic. And most people that are in the United States don't have people that they know or relatives or people that they speak to on a regular basis overseas, let's say in the EU, so they don't realize it. So they think, oh yeah, everything is great here. It's not, all right? I promise you, it is not. So that's fantastic. Wow, that is great. 180 down, 880 down with 110 up. 7 milliseconds, holy hell. Let's see. Yeah, we have, Ari says, yeah, we got 25 people on here. Yeah, this is only just like, we're just doing a little, a little chat here. I didn't figure there's going to be a lot of people kind of hanging out, but whoever wants to hang out, they can kind of hang out. Any kind of questions that you have, once again, it could be photo, video, tech. It doesn't make a difference. Throw them down below. And if any of you want to come online with me, once again, you'll find that link all the way at the top of this feed of the comments. You just click on that, go in there, and just like Joel over here, you can get on with me. Yeah, I think, let me see, hold control, command, okay. I think that you're still on, good. Let me just go through a couple more of these comments, and then we'll get into just a couple of other discussions on one of these videos that I just did. I had so many questions over there. Let's see. Thorne says game about, okay. All right, William Echo. 20,000 miles. Yeah. So yeah, David says it's 20,000 miles, and he's referring to those satellites. Yeah. Whereas 20,000 miles is where those satellites are. They're called geo satellites, right? Geocentric. They they stay in one position. They hover around the center, let's call it, the bulge of the Earth. But the Starlink satellites are like all over the place, and they are sitting at about 140 kilometers, or no, 540 kilometers, right around there. That's their activation spot. They start out at about 300, 350, and they finally get up into that 500 range, and that's when they come online. Let's see. Guild Wars, all right. Thorne says, Sean Hill will be okay. Guild, okay. Ari said, all right. Peter, wow, oh my goodness. See, look at Denmark. So Peter Madsen says basically 1 gig by 1 gig, 6 milliseconds in Denmark. This is just reiterating exactly what I'm saying. People overseas in the EU are just crushing it with gigabyte connections. And over here in the US, we are just barely getting by. And that's it. Let's see. I remember when anything under 200 milliseconds playing a game was good. If I had 100 milliseconds, you would beat up. Yeah, exactly. You know, now we're sitting at 30 and 40 milliseconds, which is amazing. Is all these satellites surrounding the Earth healthy? That's a good question. You know, Unbroken says, is all these satellites surrounding the Earth healthy? Well, they have a lifespan of about 5 years, and then they will fall back into the atmosphere and burn up. Okay? That's it. So there's not going to be anything left of them once they come in. That's number one. So there's nothing really bad. Obviously, you are going to have all of this data that's being sent back down and focused down to your ground stations. So there's going to be units. So, you know, I guess it's just like saying, you know, is the RF, all of that RF, you know, all of that signal that we're getting in our homes from 5G connections and Bluetooth connections and, you know, all of the rest of the stuff, the 802.11 and all this stuff. So is it healthy? Probably not. But I think the worst part about it is that once we see tens of thousands of these satellites, these specks up there, and that's just us that we're talking about with SpaceX. Well, how about all the rest? You know, we have to look at OneWeb, Amazon stuff. China is going to town when it comes to satellites. Taiwan is now working on like a Starlink equivalent that they're copying. It's just, the amount of LEO satellites is going to be crazy. And at that point, it's going to be very hard for astronomers here on Earth to be able to see if there is some type of impending doom coming as they watch asteroids come by or meteors coming by and whatnot. And it's going to be difficult. And I think what's going to end up happening is a lot of this, excuse me, a lot of this viewing that happens is going to be happening from like the Hubble and other telescopes that are out there above low Earth orbit. I think that's what's going to end up happening. So is it healthy? Kind of hard to say. Let's see here. How the heck do we communicate with Starlink? Jack says, how do we communicate with Starlink? You don't. Write to Elon, you know, on Twitter. No. So a lot of people have been enjoying the coverage that I've been doing on Starlink because I've been answering a lot of the Starlink questions because I've been doing it myself, and then I just relay what I get, you know, what I come up with. The problem here is no, you can't get a hold of Starlink. The only way to get a hold of them is to go through their in-app or on web form. So that is it. You know, it's all a ticketing type of system. And, you know, once we were able to get these tickets in and out in about an hour, and I taught people how to get around the system by doing a thumbs down on certain things, and then it would pull you into and, you know, give you the ability to then write in. Well, after I did that video, it wasn't no more than a week, then that was gone. You know, it seems like every time I find something, it's just squashed. So I don't know, maybe they're watching. I don't know. Anyways, so the only way to do it is by going through the ticketing system. And right now, I think they're about 2 to 4 days backed up, I've been hearing down the grapevine. I haven't written into them in a while, but I think it's a while. Sadly, they need to fix that. Okay, they need to spend some money on, you know, having either a 24-hour chat would be good enough to start out with, and then eventually 24-hour some type of call center. And hopefully the call center is not in India or something, you know? That's just my opinion. Let me see. David says Starlink isn't making any money though. Yeah, well, they really kind of aren't. Is definitely they're blowing through cash for sure. Um, but you know, it's kind of it's hard to. Oh, Joel just went. I appreciate you being here. He was on for a bit and then he must have had to go. So we'll see. Oh, are you back? Oh, there he is. Are you
Yeah,
back?
I just have to change rooms here.
Oh, there you go. Oh, no problem. You're back. That's cool. Good. But let me just go through a couple more comments here because they're like going through, and I don't want to miss anybody's. The communication with Starlink. That's really about it. That's the only way to do it. You can't do it. Have you ever tried talking to SpaceX Starlink? Have you ever written into them?
You're talking to me, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I've never really had a reason to go to Starlink, but I was laughing when they had mentioned like, can you talk to Starlink or anybody from Starlink? And it's funny. It's funny, but it's not funny. But you're right. Like, you can't talk to anybody. You have to go through their contact us page. But I never really had a reason to contact them. Knock on wood. So far, so good. No issues.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah, I mean, I've reached out to him at the very beginning, and it was like within an hour, and I would get a response. And then as things progressed, it was like a day, and then 2 days, and I mean, now I'm sure it's quite some time, which isn't good. Thorne says he's on a boat. He's getting 47 down and 8 up with 167 milliseconds on a boat. Amazing. Really cool. Let me see here. John Hill, he's writing over there to Thorne. Let's see. Jack, I can't update my account with new payment card. Not able to generate a ticket to get their attention as there is no customer service option. Frustrating. Yes, Jack, I know. It is painful. It is painful. I mean, if there was anything, that I could do, I would do it. Like I said, I've come up with techniques that work, and then they work for like a week, and then they're just, and then they get squashed. So, I wish I could help, but the only thing I could say is try to, if you can't get the ticket to go through, the problem is he's trying to update his account and he can't get in to put in a ticket. So it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? If you can't get in, then how do you start a ticket? And it's like, it's perpetual. They need to work on it. They really need to work on it. I wish I had an answer for you. John Dust, welcome. He says may become impossible to get past the LEO seats eventually. The LEO satellites eventually. Yeah, it's going to fill up the sky for sure. And we're going to see a lot of them. They're doing a lot of like cloaking, where they're painting the sides of these satellites that shine towards the Earth, so they're a non-reflective color. But I mean, that only does so much. You can still see them. And if you're taking, long exposure shots of the night sky, you're going to see a lot of these trails. And that's just kind of the way it is. It's good and bad. I think, everything is like that. You have to have a positive for a negative. If you don't have white, you don't have black. That's just the way it is. There has to be that give and take. So let's see. Dave says, if you want a good Starlink park, a boat out in the ocean, less users using the satellite. Yeah. And I did a video on that too, matter of fact, speaking about that, David, where all of a sudden my dish, because I'm here on the East Coast in Florida, my dish used to point almost dead magnetic north. And then I came into the studio and I looked up, I'm like, holy crap, my Starlink is broken. I mean, it was like that, magnetic north, basically, for like a year. And now all of a sudden it was pointing like all the way over here, like I would say east, northeast, not even like northeast, like literally east, northeast. And I was thinking about it, and then I was speculating like what was going on here, and I came up with the idea that maybe it has to do with these satellites, because I was watching them going by using I think it was Starlink.sx or something, and a lot of them would just travel over the ocean, and I'm like, well, all of those satellites that are over the ocean are getting no usage at all, right? No one's using them. And that's when I thought, well, maybe that's what it is. And then some people wrote into the channel and said, yeah, we're on the west coast of the United States, and our dish now, instead of pointing north, is now pointing west, northwest into the ocean. That kind of makes sense. So I think that happened to a lot of the people along the coast. They're pointing those dishes into the ocean where they're not being used, where, while the satellites are not being used. And I think that's exactly what's going on. Let's see here. Do you have a NAS? Peter said. Yes. So I do have a NAS. I think that, like I said in one of my videos, 2 is 1, 1 is none. If you do not have a backup of your stuff, you're going to lose it. That's just the way it is. I created an unRAID server. There are RAID arrays or NASs, network attached storage, but I created a unRAID server. And matter of fact, I wrote a book about it. You can see it behind me. This one I'm signing for someone. Anyway, so this right here, how to create a digital Fort Knox, backing up your digital life. I wrote this book basically showing you exactly how to build this thing. And so I built this NAS, this unRAID server, with parts that I had sitting in the garage that were literally over 10 years old. So sitting in the humidity of Florida, over 10 years old. I built this thing about a year and 3 months ago or so, and it's still running today with about, 50 terabytes, I think, of storage on it. Never a hiccup, and it's still running. So yes, NAS, absolutely imperative. If you have a lot of data, you need to be back. Even if you don't have a lot of data, if you don't have it someplace like a NAS locally, I think you're doing yourself just a disjustice. A lot of people think that the cloud is a backup, and the cloud is basically a place to put your data until eventually when that cloud rains and all of your data comes trickling out, right? And you have nothing left. And then you wish that you had something local. And that's where like an RAID server or an unRAID server like the one that I built is. If you want that book, you can find it on Amazon. You can also find a digital copy on Amazon. You could go over to JCristina.com. You can pick it up there too. If you want to sign one, you can go there. Anyways, like I said, I wrote that book and it just really works out good. If you don't have a backup, you need one. I don't care who. If you use that or if you use something else, get a damn backup. NAS works out fantastic. Let's see here. How you doing? Eddie George says maybe Elon should have transferred some of the Twitter crew to Starlink. Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. Let's see. Carl says ground station load may have a factor. Carl, you're 100% right. Everything is coming back down to ground stations right now. So it goes, if people don't know it, when you send out a request, right, it goes to your router, then to your dish, up through the dish to a satellite. From the satellite, it goes back down to a ground station, and from that ground station, it goes through fiber optics straight to a POP, or a point of presence. From the point of presence, it makes the request, right? Let's say Google. Once that request comes back, it goes back to the POP, then back to the ground station, up to the satellite, and then back down to your dish. That's how it works. And it does all that, like I said, in, 40 milliseconds, 36 milliseconds, 31 milliseconds. So it's quite fast. But yeah, more pops will make things quicker and less load for sure. Let's see, that's Carl. Jim says asked about health and RF and whatnot. Now Jage was living in the FM and AM stations, safety and that. Yeah. So different band and frequency, but only tiny signal. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't feel that, Bluetooth is going to kill me or 802.11 is going to kill me. But like, for example, if I was under one of these Verizon towers and not like directly underneath it, but in the band of it, let's say about here underneath there, I really wouldn't want to sit here all day, every day and get nuked. Okay, that's my opinion. But so, yeah. Let's see. You always need 2 backups, David says. Absolutely. And the way I look at it is, I want live data here on my computer. I want the data that is an archival data that I can access, like locally, and then I want some, let's call it cold storage, is what I call it, and that's that data someplace else at another location. So I have three. That's the way I work. You could do cloud storage for that, but for me, I'd rather take a massive drive or multiple drives, put them into a storage box someplace, and now it's there for safekeeping. This whole place could burn down to the ground. I have everything there, and it might be maybe 3 weeks old, and that's it. Every couple of weeks, 2 weeks to a month, I constantly update it. So, yeah, be safe with your data, because that's all that we have, especially the pictures. So many people have these phones, and these things are filled with memories, and then they go and they throw it in the ocean, or it just gets broken, and now they just lost, like, literally 5 years of important stuff, like births, graduations, birthdays, and all kinds of stuff, and it's just lost. You need to back up your stuff. Let's see, but there's no FAQ. No, Anthony says about the FAQ and the FAQ that they have in Starlink. Joel, let me ask you something real, Joel. There, have you ever taken a look at the FAQ that they have over at Starlink? Have you gone through any of it?
Yeah, the fact section.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone through it just to when I was doing like when I was doing a first install, just to see if there was any anybody that posted questions like, hey, if I post this on a roof with a specific picture, I could have issues.
Right.
Running it through the siding, length of the cable, because I know there's two sections, right? There's a 75 foot.
Right.
I think what was the other one, like over 100 feet or something?
Yeah, I think it's 150 or something. There's the long one too. Yeah.
Yeah, just to see. I mean, I didn't really find any good use out of it, but then again, I didn't really have a real good reason to go there to look up any specific questions.
Gotcha. Yeah. The fact section at starlink.com, it's building out, but it's kind of poor. It's just not, there's not a lot to it. There's not a lot of meat on the bones, so to speak. And, for the amount of time that it's been up, because remember, it's been like live for over a year, and it's like beta a year before that, a year and a half. So it's a lot of time that they could have put together a really nice fact, but they really haven't. Let's see. Jack says, thank you for this information. Real service. Now I need to look into your photography articles. Yeah. Take a look, Jack. I've been doing, like I said, I've been doing photo and video. I'm a DP, director of photography on set for some episodic TV stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that I work on besides, doing the channel and whatnot. Let's see. Peter says, nice. I have 4 NAS. I guess that's a 4-bay NAS, 24 terabyte. Sweet. That works out. I like it. Let's see. David says there are real cloud based backups based on underground mine. Yeah, that's a different story for sure. It'll cost an arm and a leg. Yeah, that's just like Volt type thing. Brogan says, how far should a phone be from you at night? So yeah, that's a hard one to say, unbroken. Having a phone close to your head, I don't think is a good thing. Getting that constant signal, because these phones are constantly phoning home, so to speak. They're always on. They're getting data and sending data continuously. I would keep it away from you as much as possible. I use it as an alarm sometimes, and I'll have it like 3 feet away. This actually allows me to have to get up to go and shut it off. If not, I'll never get up. David says Starlink actually has traversed between satellite in areas and less downlink sites. Yep. Let's see. Blue Oak. How you doing, Blue Oak? Welcome. I do that every 6 months with cold storage. Very good. Very good. You need to do that. That's fantastic. Cold storage is the way to go. All right, so expect more news from info on Starlink. Thanks for your YouTube channel. I appreciate you being here, Ari. Let's see. I never format my memory cards before making a second copy. absolutely very, very smart. Like I said, I've been shooting. I have well over 1 million shots that are sitting in storage right now. Well over 1 million shots. I mean, just one of my 1Ds have over 300,000 shots on it, just to give you an idea. And yes, never, ever, ever clear out a memory card until, for me, it is on the computer where I'm going to be editing, number one. And number two, I also then drag it into archive, which will be that Unraid server too. So it's in both places before it gets deleted from the card itself. It's just smart to do. Let's see. Dave says you get hit by more energy from the sun inside your house than you do from your electronics. Stop worrying about your devices. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of gamma. There's a ton of If we could see all the waves that are going through us, we would run, like we would just basically die. We'd be just, it's crazy the amount of waves that go through us every day. And we're pretty, we can handle a lot of it. Formatting a memory card, using the lifespan. Yeah, don't format your memory cards. So there's multiple theories on formatting memory cards, and for me, I'll format them, and then I'll also low-level format them every once in a while to kind of clear everything. Formatting really doesn't format. It basically destroys or zeroes out the file of contents, let's say, your FAT table. So the data is still there. But when you low-level it is when you actually put zeros and ones or zeros or all ones right across the entire card. That literally will format it completely down to nothing. So I do that every once in a while. I do a low level and just high level, just basic format. But yeah, it does definitely, use up the memory. I mean, it will definitely go bad after, over time. Anthony says, only thing that sucks is my pop is in NYC, none here in Canada. And that, so it's funny that he says that. It's 1,200 miles away or 2,000 kilometers. That is a problem. And that means that, like for me, my pop is 700 miles away instead of 70 because that's just what they choose to use for me in Atlanta, Georgia, instead of Miami. He's in Canada, and they're using a pop in NYC, in New York City. And the reason behind that is there is no pops, I don't believe, in Canada as of yet. So hang in there, Anthony. I think they're going to be getting some pops over there in Canada. Canada is a damn wreck right now. There's like so much going on over there. And I know that probably putting a pop into Canada is probably on the top of the list, but I just don't know how long it's going to take. I mean, it took a while for them to say, yes, it's okay for Elon to even be there, right? So, we'll see what ends up happening. Because right now, if you look, you know what, guys? Let me show you something. We talk about this satellite thing all the time, and let me show you this Starlink. And if you guys want to check this out, you could do this also. Let me move this over so you can see this. All right, desktop. There we go. Can we see this? Can you guys see that? I hope so. Yeah, it looks like it's coming through. So what this is, and you can go here too if you want, it's called Starlink.sx. It is not a Starlink or SpaceX certified authorized site, but they use these algorithmic equations to locate where all of the satellites are. This little green dot is basically where I am. And you see here, this is a pop. This is my pop and it says home pop. Once again, point of presence, 700 miles away from this dot. Whereas this one here in Miami, which is 70 miles away, I'm not using. I'm using this one. It's the damn, it just makes me so upset. But anyways, I'm not showing you this just to bitch and moan. But anyways, you see this blue? These blue dots are satellites, but they're version 1s. So I'm right here, okay? So this is a version 1. And now do you see this green satellite? This dot is a version 1.5. These green dots are the satellites that have lasers built onto them, communication lasers built onto them. So, right now, as we can see, now this right here is my ground station. See this little dot right here? This is a ground station in Punta Gorda, and there's another ground station over here in Del Leon Springs, and there's another ground station in Fort Lauderdale. I use the ground station out of Punta Gorda. So as you can see, there is a version 1 that's going to be coming by me very soon. I'm right here. And let me see if I can zoom in. There we go. So it's going to be coming by pretty soon, and then I will make this connection over here instead of using another one nearby. But there's not, and as we can see here, there's not a lot that is going on here. There is, I think, about 3,000 worldwide. Now let me pull out a little bit, and this will kind of address the issue that we were talking about with Canada. So now if I come up here, do you see all these dots? Well, here's Canada right up here. And you see how all of these satellites are flying through the area, but all of the pops are here. You see them down here? There's a pop here in Maine. I believe there's some pops down here in New York. Now this is a pop. Let me see here. Is there one? There's one Marathon. Where else? Okay. Yeah. So eventually we're going to see some pops up here. Like in Quebec, we'll see some pops all the way back here in Alberta, wherever. So, but for right now, all of these satellites that are going up here into Canada, they're all using pops that are in the United States, right? Which does slow things down. That's just the way it is. Sadly, that's the way it is. Anyways, I just wanted to bring that to your attention so you can see that. Go check that out. Once again, it's Starlink.sx. Pretty cool. Not bad. Have you ever tried that, Joel? You ever checked that site out?
Yeah, so I've tried it with the laptop. Actually, laptops the resources required to run that website, they're so high, and my processor just can't handle it.
It just can't do it. Yeah, there's a ton because it's all mathematical equations. It's to try to get it to happen.
It gets very choppy, but I just wanted to see where my iPod was actually going to get. And I'm in the same situation where Northeast Pennsylvania, my point of reference is same thing as New York.
Is it in New York too? Yeah. See, that's and that's what's going to give you that 40 milliseconds plus. Whereas if you were able to get a pop that's closer, like me, if I get that pop down in Miami. I actually showed people how to change their pop, okay, in a video that I did. If you want to see any of these videos, I got like over 100 in a Starlink playlist. If you haven't seen it, go check that out. Anyways, I taught people how to get SpaceX Starlink to change you to the closer pop. And they changed me to Miami. And for a while, I was getting like 18, 19 milliseconds, 24 milliseconds. It was awesome. And then they changed me back to Atlanta, Georgia. And everyone else that had their pops changed got changed back to their old pops too. So it seems like every time I find a way to do something that to me I think is productive, it just gets squashed. I don't know. I'm going to keep trying, maybe something will stick, but we do what we can do. I don't know. Let's see. Lego ideas. Bricktastic. Lego ideas. Hello. Wish I had 70,000 or 5,000 or 57,000 subscribers. Yeah, I was looking. I think we are like close to that. What are we at now? I don't know. I think we're at 50,000 something. Let me see here. I don't even know. We're getting up there. I would like to see, but I mean, we're not. Yeah, there we go. 57,351. Not bad. Can't complain about that for sure. I mean, obviously, it would be nice to be able to hit that 100,000 mark, but maybe we will eventually. I don't know. We'll keep trucking along. Depends on the YouTube gods and what they deem to be of value and what they don't, right? Let's see. John Hill says, right, it's 1 a.m. here and I need to go. And all right. Well, listen, thanks a lot for being here, John. Let's see here if there's anything that I'm missing. Audio, it says his audio is echoed. Blue Oak said. That could be maybe it's coming through in two places. Let me take a look here. There we go. All right. So, Joe, let me go ahead and talk now. Let me see if it's echoing. Let me know, guys, if his voice is echoing at all. Let me just, once again, just get from you where you're located and just tell everyone who you are.
Yeah, my name's Joe. I'm up here in Northeast Pennsylvania. Had Starlink for about a year.
About a year. All right. So was he echoing at all? Let me know. Let me know. I think I had it coming through two different audio mixer outputs, but that should have fixed it. I would guess. But if you need to go, you just let me know at any time. I know we've been on here for a while. Basically, what I'm trying to do here is test to see if we can stream through Starlink without having a problem with outages. And so far, I haven't had anyone say, "Oh, good, no echo, awesome, perfect, perfect, perfect." That's me. That's a pilot error. That's my screw up. Anyways, so being able to do this, I think, is fantastic. And if anyone else wants to come on, I think I might be able to put one more person on too. I've tried this in the past and it worked. Once again, I'm trying to push the system, see how much we can do. In the meantime, let me go ahead and throw my pings up once again for you guys, because I know a lot of you guys are very technical and you want to know like how things are going when it comes to the pings and whatnot. So there you go. Lower right hand corner, you're going to see my latest, I don't know, like 10 pings, and you guys can monitor it to see how we're doing. Right now we're seeing 38 milliseconds, 41, 42, 33, 33, 34. Not bad, once again, not bad at all. Can't complain about that. Once again, let me go ahead and put this in there. If anyone wants to come online, they can. I will stick this right here, just like John did. There we go. Excellent. And I think we're good with that. So let me just go into a couple of the questions while we're just leaving that chat, and then I'll get back into the chat window just a second. Let me get into a couple of the questions that we had from the last videos that just happened the last couple of days here. Let's see here. Let's see. One of the question was about that last router that we're using, the UTT, and was that discontinued? And as of right now, I don't have an answer. I really don't know. So if you were the one that asked that question, I wish I can answer it for you. I don't know. I know that I tried doing a firmware update, but it failed, and their website was not coming up online. But these are Chinese companies, so who knows? It could be down for a week. I don't know. You just never know what's going on. But I'll monitor it, and maybe in the pinned comment on that video that I just did, I'll let you know. So, I mean, as of right now, this thing is working, and it's working really well. And for $60, if for some reason, it doesn't work in a year, you just chuck in the garbage and who cares? But like I said, I will be doing a video on the PepLink Balance 20X is what it's called. But, it is more than 5 times, 6 times the cost. So let me see, but redundancy is always important. If you have dual WANs, if you have access to 2 ISPs, use them. Definitely use them. Yeah, so here we got a guy named Robert Garnon, and he says, great timing. My 175-foot cord failed. The 50-foot that came with it didn't. That's good information. I appreciate that, Robert. It says, Starlink has yet to respond. Outage happened on 1/5/23. Thank you. Great content as always. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Robert. Appreciate that. So yeah, the length of the cable is going to really determine how quick these cables catch on fire. They don't catch on fire, but they do burn out. The longer cables need or require more amperage to be able to get the same amount of amps to, obviously, the dish, so it increases the amps even higher. So a lot of these people have these longer cables are burning out in comparison to the shorter ones. Let me see. Let's see if there's more in here. Temperatures in Ohio, negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. He has to leave his on all the time. Ouch. I can't even imagine negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm in Florida. I'm cold when it hits 50. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, they're having, so it amazes me. Let me just say thank you to Eddie George for the super chat and for contributing. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. What I find kind of perplexing is why, SpaceX doesn't fix some of these problems that you would imagine are rudimentary. You would just think that, if you have a cable that's a so if people don't know, the Generation 2, these are proprietary cables, and they're basically a Cat 6 cable with a proprietary end on it. That's it. It's a PoE cable, right? So it sends power through it as well as Ethernet, right? So you would think that they would use a Cat 8 cable or something thicker, or maybe a burial type of cable that is thicker, a thicker gauge cable. Instead of, let's say, an 18, maybe like a 12 gauge or a 14, or even lower, maybe a 12 gauge, 10 gauge cable. But they don't, and I don't get that. I don't know why that is. It didn't make sense to me, but who knows? That's for Elon to figure out, not for me. Let's see. Cat 6 cable proprietary. Yeah, actually, Chris said exactly that. It's a Cat 6, so that we were correct on that. Cat 6 cable with priority connectors, absolutely. And the Generation 1s, they aren't priority, connectors. So what that means is you could just use on a Generation 1 just any type of Cat 5, Cat 6, Cat 7, Cat 8, whatever cable. So you can actually get thicker cable for it and not have to worry about it at all. So it's kind of a shame that they did that with the Gen 2s. The Gen 2s was a means for them to save money, bottom line. All right, there's no two ways about it. Let me see here. Let me go over to today's video. I know there was like over 100 and some comments on there. It was a ton. Let me just take a look at that. If you guys have any other questions, put them down in the comments here in this chat window, and I will jump back over them over there and answer them in just a second. And you know what, John? If you see anything in the comments, jump in there. Let me know too. If you see something that you want to answer, just jump in there because you're using the system too. Just read through them. Just give a shout out to whoever you're talking to. And I'm just going to go through some of these from today. All right. Yeah, so Sean Miller basically stated that he reached out 10 days ago to Starlink to tell them that, that the system is coming up as Starlink is down or whatnot. And literally within 3 minutes, they said that we're sending you a new cable and router. No questions asked. So, you know what? He said, it's good customer service, but it made me suspicious that they knew something was up. And, I have to agree. I have to agree with you. That is 100% true. It's sad, but they need to get on this. They really do. They need to get on it. All right. Let's see who else we have here. Let me get into the comments here. Let's see, into the chat we have Blue Oak. My ping is currently 27 milliseconds. That's not bad at all. Carl is saying that he's getting occasional buffering. All right, that's good to know. Anyone else getting occasional buffering? Let me know to see if it's just Carl or if everyone is getting that buffering. Let's see. Anthony has a 38 ping. Glad I turned off now. Blue Oak said, I'm glad I turned off the heating. Yeah, that's good. It's good. Might as well turn it off. If you need it on, turn it on. If you live somewhere that you don't need it, turn it off for sure. Thorne says, yes, you got Florida blood. Absolutely. I was originally from up north, like in Connecticut area. So now that I'm in Florida for many, many decades, yeah, my blood is definitely thinned. Peter says buffering a little bit. Okay, that's good to know. Saw that too, Peter. Okay. Cat 5e. Yeah, probably. I would guess. Let me see. Jason says, can you mesh two Starlinks together? I was curious if it could work like a mesh router. So, all right, that's a really good question, Jason. So Starlink has a mesh network that you can buy. And while it is good and it's very easy to set up, basically the way it works is they send you additional routers and they're set up as like APs, as access points, okay? So it's very simplistic. It's really easy to do. And they literally find each other and they form a mesh network. Great. The problem is they do not have any backhauling functionality. So if you don't know what that means, is that means you cannot connect two together through Ethernet. They have to be set up as a main and then mesh off it. So for example, like me, I have a very large area. What I needed to do was have one unit inside one location, one building, and then have another unit in another building and run that through a Cat 8 cable underground. You cannot do it with Starlink routers. You just can't do it. They do not have a backhauling via cable option. Now, I talked to them over there at SpaceX, and they said that they are working on it, but that doesn't mean anything. They have bigger fish to fry as of right now than worrying about backhauling. So if you want to do a mesh network, take a look at my mesh network. I think there's about 3 or 4 videos. You'll find it in my SpaceX Starlink playlist. Go check that out. There's a lot of good information on how to make the mesh network. I did it with TP-Link stuff, so it's very cost effective, let's say. The value is there. And I use some outdoor as well as indoor and an OS 200 or OS 300. I did some EAS 225s. Anyways, just take a look in any of my videos. Just take a look down into all of those links and you'll see a bunch of TP-Link stuff. Just take a look at all that. Everything that you need is there. Let's see, had a 10-minute Starlink outage last day. It says, you notice any big, so yes, there was on the 9th, what day? Today's the 10th. So yesterday there was an outage. I think it was around 11 or 10:30 Eastern or so. I don't know. Anyways, yes, there was a complete outage of SpaceX Starlink for about an hour and 15 minutes. So yeah, if you only had an outage for 10 minutes, you did good. That's good. Welcome, Alberta, Canada. How you doing, William? Let's see. Peter says he's running Cat 6. Smart. Carl, I have a friend that had the same experience. There you go. Rolly Rapper, that he says here, thank you, Jay. I've appreciated many of your videos. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that, Rolly. I'm in, let's see, Northwest Washington State. And I notice my dish is now pointing west instead of north. So that's exactly what what we were talking about earlier. If you weren't on this live, I'm sitting here on the East Coast. My dish, instead of pointing magnetic north, is now pointing east northeast. And you're over on the West Coast, and now your dish is pointing west northwest, let's call it. And yes, the reason behind that, I am speculating, and I really do believe it's the case, is it's trying to get us that are on the coast to use satellites that are not being used, right? And those satellites are over the ocean, so they're wide open. There's no one on them, right? That's what I'm guessing. So I could be wrong. I'm speculating here. Anyways, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. David says it would be interesting to know if Starlink can have babbling boxes. Yeah. All right, so I really don't know what they're going to end up doing with all of this, to be completely honest with you. Unbroken says, what is the chance my wife leaves me for Elon? The chance is probably really likely if he probably kind of knocked on the door and said, hey, you want to go for a ride in my new Tesla 18-wheeler? I don't know. Let's see. Blue Oak says I had some buffering too. All right, but now it stopped. That's good to know. Let's see. time to time. Now it's better. Okay, buffering here. All right, seems that the buffering when my boat rocks. It's so great, Thorn, that you're sitting on a boat watching. It's just amazing to me. I think it's awesome. I use a cheap third-party mesh router. Yeah, so you kind of get what you pay for. I found that the TP-Link was probably the best for the money, the best value, let's just say. But yeah, there's a lot out there. There's some you just plug and play and just hope for the best. But a lot of these I've tested out, and I don't even do reviews on them because I hate to do shitty reviews because it just makes me look petty sometimes. I'll do them if it's just so horrible, just so that other people don't get them. But if they're just kind of crap, I just won't even review it. The video will disappear and you won't even know it. But I've tried some mesh networks, and what they'll do is they'll work really good for like a week, and then all of a sudden they'll start going south, or like one leg of the mesh will go south, right? And when you go into that area, you're not connecting to that mesh, unit, to that AP, to that access point. You're connected. So it's just, yeah. Let's see, Richard. How you doing, Richard? It says more satellites going up tonight, weather permitting. Scrub last night because of the weather on the West Coast. I didn't know that. That's good to know. So more satellites going up tonight. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate that. Let's see. William says still hoping for better upload than 9 to 12 megabits per second. Is a killer. Was cooking 300 megabits per second down 4 a.m. Yeah, I've been getting some really crazy fast down speeds of 200 plus, 250 down, but my up speeds are just so locked in at like 8 to 12 megabits per second. And that's just probably the region that I'm in. It's just oversold. That's just it. Let's see. Unbroken says the EVF versus optical VF question. Yeah. I'm an optical guy. EVF is great. If you guys, don't know about cameras, EVF stands for electronic viewfinder. It's basically your optical, instead of looking through the camera's lens when you're taking a picture, an EVF is showing you an augmented reality of what your camera is seeing. So it's kind of like WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get. So with a mirrorless camera and you're looking through that EVF, which is basically a screen, exactly what you see in your eye or on the back screen, when you take that picture, is exactly what you're going to get. With the DSLR or anything like that, you're looking out the lens. So what you're capturing is not what you're seeing. But I still personally like I am an OVF guy, all right? That's my personal opinion. I just like, it's that fast. There's no blackout. There's no nothing. It looks good. So I am an OVF kind of guy, even though we're now mirrorless for just about everything. My dish turned the same as yours soon after SpaceX launched. Yep, there you go. Hey, Carbone says, I got Starlink Mesh. Welcome. Hey. I got Starlink Mesh, so my daughter and I could use an RV since she's currently staying there, not just because it was Starlink Mesh, but also in case it was the main modem goes. Yeah. So what he's saying here is that's exactly right. When you buy Starlink Mesh, like I said, they are additional routers. So if one of those Starlink routers goes bad, you can take one of those APs and now use it as the main router. It'll be like, hey, I'm a main router now, because it's the same damn thing. All right. So some people don't know that, but yeah, it is basically, you're not buying an AP as such, you're buying an actual full router. So it is kind of cool. William says EVF, nice. Yeah, I get it. You expose through what you show. Yeah, absolutely. It's augmented reality. What you see in an EVF is exactly what you get when you pull the trigger. I'm sure Starlink, David says, I'm sure Starlink uses more robust uplink modulation methods instead of faster ones. Yeah, probably. No blackout with the Z9. Yes, that is true. The Z9 definitely doesn't have much of a blackout in the EVF, which is really, really great. There is still, for me, my eye still sees the flicker, even though it's supposed to be flicker free. It just doesn't look the same as looking through an OVF. So, that's probably me teaching photography for countless years, shooting film, just everything was always an OVF. So you're just used to looking out a lens, in comparison to, seeing out the lens in comparison to seeing what your camera's, seeing, so to speak. Let's see here. I stopped using EVF almost entirely when I switched to the R5. That flippy screen is the best. Yeah, so a lot of people do. They don't even look through the back of the EVF anymore. They just look at the back of the screen and they just take the pictures like this. That's it. Amazing. Let me see here, guys. Let me take just a few more questions. I'm sure John wants to get off here too. If there's anything that you want to add, John, just put it out there. Also, let me see. We have another person in here who's in the chat. Let me see here. Let me bring him on board. Bear with me 1 second and see if we can do this. Then we'll really push this thing. Maybe he'll get even more funky. That'd be cool. Let me see if we can get him in here. Hang in there. Bear with me. All right. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Let's see if this will work. I don't know. It could. Here it is. Guest. Here we go. All right. This is really going to tax the system. Let me take this off, and there he is. Okay. We're doing good. Let me see if this will work. Look at that. So you are on. Let me know who you are. Let me know, let me make sure that you have audio. Your audio is working. Welcome on. You'll probably see yourself down here. Try to listen to me on the chat window through the video.ninja, because then you'll be able to hear me and you won't get that double. So just let everyone know who you are.
Good evening. Yeah, my name's Lonnie. I'm up in Michigan, actually, about an hour and a half north of Detroit.
Welcome.
I'm an early beta, first wave beta adapter for Starlink.
Wow.
So we've had it since the very beginning. My internet story here at the house we bought in September 2020 wasn't good. Nobody wanted to supply internet to us. I called Spectrum, and Spectrum charged me a bunch of money, said they'd do it, and then 3 weeks later they called me back and said, yeah, no, we're not going to. Unless you want to pay us 70 grand to run cable into your neighborhood. I actually sent you, 70 grand. I actually sent you an email not long ago. The government paid that 70 grand to run the internet into our subdivision. And just, we haven't had any problems with Starlink in our house. And we've got the very first wave beta round dishy, and really are liking it.
That's awesome. So you got the round. So you have obviously it is the version 1, and I mean, are you seeing any kind? Well, are you getting? You said you're up north, right?
Yes.
So are you getting any snow on that thing? Is it melting it? No problem.
Yeah, since we've had it, almost 2 years. Well, yeah, probably 2 years now. Pretty close. We've had a number of big snows with it on it and never had a problem.
And how
When
many
you guys
feet?
were mentioning replacing cables, I was like, because the first wave dishes, you can't replace the cable.
Gotcha. See, I wasn't aware of that. Okay, so the first version, the cable that they gave you was the cable they gave you, and that was it. And how many feet did they give you? Was it a 75, 100, 125? What was the length?
I think it's 125.
Gotcha. So that's very interesting. That's really interesting, because what that means is that whatever they did between Gen 1 and Gen 2, I'm going to speculate that the cable is either a lighter gauge cable on the Gen 2, or what most likely is the problem is those connectors. Those proprietary connectors are probably weak, and they can't handle the amount of amperage for extended periods of time. And it probably burns out the connectors and not necessarily the cable. I'm guessing. I'm just guessing.
V's equal to IR.
Yeah.
So your current's going to go up dramatically if you continue to use that, and the whole thing's going to heat up, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the longer the cable, obviously, the more load on it, to push the amperage through. So,
You're going to love it. Right before Christmas, right? We had a cold snap go through I work in the auto industry, and I was taking data in a truck outside, and the ambient temperature was minus 19 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh God.
So I'm sure the heaters are running that day.
Jeez, that is absolutely crazy. And you keep yours on auto then, right? And let it just pop on whenever it needs to?
Correct.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And you're not having a problem. So I'm going to say that it probably has to do with those connectors, because there's been a lot of people that I've been seeing in that last video that I did that are saying that exactly what's happening to them. And they're literally, being out for days, sometimes weeks, as they get new cables. And what I noticed too is instead of them just sending cables, they're sending a cable and the router. Like they're sending both instead of just cables. So I wonder if that doesn't also affect, the heat somehow affects the circuitry inside of the router too, which it might. So
Makes
I don't know.
sense, right? I'm one of those the early wave one adopters that had an animal chew on my cable. And when they sent me, and they responded really quickly, they sent me another dish. And that's one of the things that bothered me is they sent me the round dish with the cable and a new router, and wanted me to replace everything. And I'm like, are you kidding me? The router's firmware is all up to date. Everything's good. Because in the really early days, we used to have constant dropouts, and they kept improving the firmware on the router. And I'll tell you, when I plugged in that router that they sent me, it was like a nightmare going backwards. But it only took a night for it to get all of its updates and get
Right.
back to the performance we've been used to since.
Yeah, people don't know this, but the way that dish works is once it acquires signal, there's a lot of things that it's doing, a lot of things in the background. Number one, it's updating its firmware in the background, and then once it updates the firmware, it reboots. But then also during a 12-hour cycle, it's also analyzing for obstructions and building an obstruction like database kind of thing. And if you go into your app, you can see exactly where the obstructions are, which is really important. And some people don't, they don't do that, and they really need to. Matter of fact, I'm going to bring it up on my phone so that I can show you guys. It's one of those things that, if, when you're first setting it up, you can use it to find those obstructions, but also as time goes by, if you just simply go to visibility, let me see, there we go. Let me see if you guys can see that. Now you see this, and it's kind of circulating. Let me move that around. There you go. Now you see this? This is the dish and what it's seeing. And everything here, let me go full screen with me so you can see it a little bit better. Everything here in blue, or green, I guess, or whatever, I guess it'd be blue, is good. This is all good. If there's any red spots or red dots, that's where the dish cannot see whatever it needs to see, right? So you want to make sure you don't have any red dots. If you see any red dots, look at that compass. If it says there's a red dot in the west, go outside and take a look at whatever you have in the west, because what that means is something there is now obstructing your view, So you want to fix that as quick as possible. You don't want to end up with, having a problem that could be easily fixed by just cutting back a tree. So, but yeah, that's what it's doing. There's a lot of things that it does to finally get back into full speed, let's call it. So, but yeah, this has been something that has been a problem with a lot of folks that send in or get new routers in. They think that all of a sudden it's just going to be, full speed right away, and it just doesn't. It takes like a day or so to kind of work itself out. And then it also calculates where those satellites are going to be too, in accordance to the geographic location where that satellite is. And a lot of times people are saying that the dish is in location A when they're actually using it in location B. Now the thing is definitely, it's not having it either. It's kind of pissed. So, but do you have residential service then from the very beginning, or is it RV? Is it what type of service you have? Both of you, actually.
I've got residential, had it since the beginning.
Gotcha. Right. And you, John, you have
Yep, same thing, residential here.
residential also? Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I have residential is what they consider it too here. Some folks were asking me, am I going to upgrade to the business dish? They call it, the big dish or the high definition dish or whatever you want to call it. It's just the big ass dish, I call it. And it's $2,400, and they're doing like, or $2,500, and they're doing like a $600 dish. It comes to like $1,900 for the dish, and it obviously gives you a larger array, so you're going to be able to get more satellites in view. Let's say you'll probably have less dropouts and whatnot, but for me I don't have $1,900 just to throw out the window for a bigger dish. So, people ask me and I say no. Now, if you are using it for business and you're trying to get, the best service possible, I would say use that dish, but also pay, instead of $110, pay the $500 a month and get the full, full speed that you can get out of it. That's what I would do. So, it really depends on how much money you have to spend. Let me get into the comments real quick and see if there's anything else that pops up here. Hay says, like Christina says, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Absolutely, that is absolutely the case. Let's see. B says, I'm sure Starlink user was yes. Got to that already. Stopped using. Okay. If I want another, oh, that's Lonnie. That's you that just put that in there. Let's see. I hate to. Okay. And he says, 95 minutes so far of live stream. Yeah, we've been on here for a long time. I decided that I was going to, stay for a bit, really because I wanted to use it as a test. Normally, a live stream would probably be like a half an hour, but I just left this running for a while because I want to see if it goes south or if it gets pixelated or if we drop. And if we do drop, does AT&T take over and, we continue or in other words, does that WAN system that I set up yesterday actually work in a live stream? So that's kind of the skinny behind it. Let's see what else. William says, "Blue guy." Okay. Richard says, "Even a minute delay, better than exactly." Viastat or any of those are just like HughesNet are just complete garbage now compared to what Starlink can do. It's crazy. No buffering yet, Peter says. That's great. Let's see. Oh my God, William says we had a period of negative 40 degrees Celsius here in Canada. That's not for me. What's up, Alex? Glad you're here. Let's see. All right, says my heat. Okay, the auto. Yep. Keep it the auto. Peter says streaming is going very good. No buffering. That's good. Williams says 165.2 down and 13.11 up right now. That's good. That is really, really good. Yeah. As far as the handoff, AT&T handoff hasn't happened as of yet, I don't believe. Let me go do a speed test. This should slow everyone down and people might see some buffering. I'm just going to run a speed test in the background and see what we end up getting here. It is running through Comcast Atlanta. Let's see. We are getting, now look at the pings. You see my pings? Oh, you can't because we don't have it over there. Anyways, my pings just went from 30 to 150. Now they're back down to 56, 47, 78, 79. And we got 139.06 down. And our up speed is 9.2. Not bad. Can't beat that. That's not bad. And that's streaming with 2 of you online at the same time. So Starlink is kind of hanging in there. It's holding its own.
There was a little bit of buffering going on there.
Was there?
Got a little bit of pixelated, but wasn't too bad.
Yeah, and I would imagine it probably would happen when we were doing the upload test through speedtest.net, because that's where, the download speed, because I'm broadcasting, I'm sending out, the upload is where it's going to take the biggest, brunt of it, let's say. Anyways, guys, if there's any questions that you have, throw them in there right now. I figure we'll get out of here in probably like maybe 2-3 minutes. Any other questions, let us know. Doesn't matter what it is. Once again, it could be photo, video, or tech. We've been talking a lot about Starlink today, but that's okay. That's what people want to talk about. That's what we talk about. This channel, this Hangout is all about whatever you guys want to talk about to test things out and whatnot. So, yeah, William said he did see pixelization. That makes sense. I would imagine that would happen. And we only had one request timeout out of that entire test, which is amazing. If I was on AT&T, guys, and I was to do a speed test, the thing would just, you might as well, it would be dead. It wouldn't even be usable at all. So before we get out of here, I have to say, what do we have here? Someone jumped in here. Terrence says, is Nikon IF any good now? It really is. The Z9 is absolutely amazing. I think the Z9 is probably, I would say the Z9 is probably the equivalent to a D850 of old. So the D850, Nikon D850, I would say would probably be the best DSLR ever made, in that price category. And I'm a Canon shooter. I'll just tell you the truth. That's the bottom line. But the Z9, I think, is right there too in that spot. I think it is by far an amazing, amazing camera. So Z9, awesome. Eye tracking, awesome. Tracking does, phenomenally well. And it does. I think they're being sued. Isn't there like a red lawsuit or so? I don't know. There's all kinds of things going on with it right now. It is, just. If you can buy, like if I was to buy a camera today and I want a mirrorless, that's an expensive mirrorless camera, the Z9 is probably where it's at. I'm waiting for an R1, which would be the equivalent to my 1Ds, and I'm going to replace those 1Ds with mirrorless R1s once they come out. I was hoping they were going to come out at the end of 2022. They didn't. It's now in 2023, and now I'm hearing that they're going to push them back to 2024. Who knows? I really don't know. We'll see when the R1's flagship finally does come out. Let's see. Cell providers are pathetic. Well, yeah, that's absolutely the case. A lot of them are absolutely horrible, especially here in the U.S. Cell phone providers, for example, Deutsche Telekom or any of the ones out of Germany, for example, T-Mobile originally I think came out from Germany. All of the stuff in the EU, all of those 5G networks are true 5G networks. Like for example, an AT&T 5G network is like 5GE. It's not even 5G. I mean, they say it's 5G. It's really not. The same thing Verizon. They are not where they should be. And in 2023, I don't want to get into it. The cell phone providers in the U.S. are complete crap, and their signals are crap, and the coverage is horrible, and there's a whole bunch of issues. Let's see. Z9 autofocus is amazing with tracking. William says, absolutely. Peter says, do you know when you will be coming live again? Honestly, I would like to start doing some lives once a week, and maybe like a Friday, like kind of like a recap of all of the videos I do on Friday. Let me ask you guys, I don't know how many are left, 20, 30 or whatever, however many of you guys are here. Do you guys like any of those shorts that I've been doing? I wanted to put that out there. I have been having a lot of fun with it. It was kind of like that Max Headroom-esque kind of 1980s throwback type of thing. I've just been having a lot of fun with it, being able to give someone, give, I guess, edutainment, so it's like a 1 minute, just real quick on a subject of a question and answer. Do you like them? Yes, no? Let me know. Let's see. Red actually, yeah, so that's right. So Red is suing Nikon. Yeah, I thought, I remember doing a piece on that. So I guess they still are suing them. So if you have a Z9, keep it and don't update the firmware once Nikon is forced to take the Red algorithms out of it. Anyone need a piece of file? Yeah. Once a week. Yeah, I think once a week should be good. Elon needs to do a complete SAT-based phone. Yes, so the Pi phone is something that I would purchase immediately. John Duss said he was talking about a SAT-based phone from Elon. Yes, if Elon was to come out with a SAT-based phone that actually would work in a building, I would do it. And I think probably what they're going to do is they're probably going to be doing some backhauling through T-Mobile, since T-Mobile and him are getting together, doing that whole thing. So yes, I would love to see a sat phone from Elon, Pi phone, Tesla phone, whatever the hell they want to call it. I don't care what it's, I'd be happy to put down my iPhone tomorrow just to give that a test run. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. Let's see.
So, Joe, a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many monitors are you running at home?
Monitors like what I use like right now.
Well,
in
I mean,
studio?
right now, as I'm watching you, I've got a 55-inch monitor in the center, and then I've got four 27s, two on either side.
Gotcha. So right now I have a 34 ultra wide. The reason I have that in front of me because I do a lot of obviously editing. So besides the editing for the show, I do editing for other TV stuff. Anyways, the editing that I do, it just works out good to have a timeline that's 34 inches long, that's this long. So I have a 34 here, and then on this side I have another 27 plus over here, but stood up on vertical mode. So if I need to move like a portrait, like a photo or something, I can drag it from the 34 into portrait over here, be able to do editing over there. And I used to have another monitor over here. I got rid of it and I consolidated everything. So instead of having the double 27s, I got the 34 and the 27, and that works out really good for my workflow. On the other side, we do have a 55, I think, over there. But that's, usually for like sitting at the couch, have all of the, Xbox, PS stuff and all the rest of the crap over there. But it's not something that's used for this. Then, of course, back here, we have another 20-some inch. That's an Apple. I basically migrated out of Apple completely. I used to be, just to give you an idea, I've been around for quite some time. I started out with Apple and an Apple II Plus, and I used to write firmware, and I used to write EPROMs for the Apple II Plus back in the day. So yeah, that was in assembly code back. People don't even know what the stuff is anymore. But that was like the thing that I did from the very beginning. So I was a Mac guy since the very beginning, or an Apple guy since the very beginning. But then once I was no longer using Final Cut because they neutered it when they went to the Final Cut X thing instead of Pro and all that. I said, you know what, we're just going to move over to Premiere. And then after going from Premiere, I said, you know what, I'm not doing this Adobe thing anymore. And now we're using DaVinci Resolve. And the reason being is for all the episodic TV stuff that we do in movies and anything, all the stuff, all the video, doesn't matter if it's on Premiere or if it's on Final Cut, always goes back to DaVinci to do all of the color grading anyways. So now that their NLE, their nonlinear editor, is so good, there's no reason to even get out of DaVinci Resolve. So that's all that we're using now. And that's really about it. Let's see here. So shorts are no-no. Arnie says doesn't like the shorts. Update shorts, the YouTube version. Yeah, it's kind of like that. So shorts, it's like YouTube is like using the shorts kind of like as a means to do something like a TikTok or like the little Instagram, any kind of short. I really am enjoying it because I can put some entertainment factor into 1 minute and push a ton of no bullshit content, let's just call it, no BS. So it's literally the question and here's the answer in less than 59 seconds. So I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I'm probably going to do a few more of those and see how the algorithm likes them. If the algorithm doesn't like it, I'm not going to waste my time with it. But I've been enjoying the just doing them, just creating them. Sometimes you just need to stretch your feet a little bit, stretch your legs out, and you get tired doing the same thing over and over. Let's see.
Hey, Joe?
Yeah.
Say, hey, this is Joe from here in PA. Hey, I just want to let you know I got to cut out.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah. But I just want to, I want to say thank you very much. I've been watching your channel since like for over a year now, ever since we got started on the Starlink here, and you're definitely my go-to resource, especially when I was looking to see, what's the best area to put on it. Do I put it on a pole? Do I put it on the roof? After I got everything set up, even as far as how to do the hard resets, how often do the hard resets. Yeah, just everything that you've been putting out has been spot on. It's been super helpful. And, we couldn't be more happier with the service that we have here, especially coming from DSL, again, with that 1.5, 2 meg download service. So definitely appreciate everything you're doing. I do look forward to beginning to start doing some more of these live streams. I'm on board, brother.
Absolutely. Listen, I appreciate you taking the time to be able to spend it with me and doing this test. So that's fantastic. And if you see me on here, I'll be sending those out there. And obviously now we can see that we can get 2 people online at the same time. That's fantastic. And I'll start doing more of that. Probably, I would say once a week, if not every other week. So definitely join. That would be great. And I appreciate the help with getting this together, just like we did now. And I can't believe that we were able to actually do 3 people simultaneously and actually broadcast with very little dropout. So that's really
Yeah,
good. And that's kudos to Starlink, even though a lot of people have been poo-pooing on it for a while now, because it is having this oversold problem. It is what it is, but they're doing pretty well. But anyways, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you being here.
yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we'll talk
We'll
to you soon.
we'll see you on the next one for sure.
Alrighty. See you guys.
Take care. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to answer a couple of the last questions here, and then we'll get out of here, Lonnie. Anyways, let's see here. I have a 27-inch LG side by side. I had the same type of setup. I liked it, and then I got tired of the little line in between and moving between. So I said, you know what? I want this big 34, and it just works pretty well. Let's see. It's got a 50-inch TV and 217. That's interesting. That's an interesting setup. That's pretty cool. I too used to be a Mac fan, no more. Tried to close the ecosystem. Yes, I mean, I love Mac, but they make it cost prohibitive to be able to be a professional these days. They just don't. They don't, for a while there, they were not coming out with really good, after they came out with the cheese grater, and then they made like the coffee can and all this other crap. And it was very difficult to be able to add in stuff. And it's too expensive for what you're getting, even though it's really reliable. I love it, obviously. Let me see. Sylvia says, I like your shorts. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Can you give your thoughts on Starlink's best effort service? We can get it due to no other ISP available and being on the waiting list for 2+ years. So best effort is fine. All right, best effort is fine. This is from Country Soldier. And the reason being is because if you don't have anything else, number one, it's great. But number two, best effort is really, you're only going to see a slowdown. Number one, if you're in an area that has a lot of other people, right, that are using it, number one. And then number two, it's really going to slow down when everyone else is using it. So during times of congestion, you're going to see a slowdown. And I did a video on that, 2, 3 videos, 4 videos ago, I don't even know now. And it's about 25 to 50% slower when you get kicked back to that basic, let's say, service in comparison to the priority data. So it's not that big of a deal. If you can get it, you've been waiting 2 years, trust me, you will be ecstatic with the Starlink. Trust me, it's really that good. Let's see. Obviously, if you can get fiber, don't bother. But I'm gonna venture to say you probably can't. Let's see here. Sean says, Happy New Year. The shorts are way different than usual content. Yes, they are. Really enjoy playing around with it, though. Looks like you're having fun with it. Yeah, I'm just really loving doing those shorts. There's a lot of fun, Sean. Starlink is good for speed, as previously. So 80 megabits per second down, double the copper bonded. So if people don't know, he's got double copper bonded, so he's probably doing bonded pair. I'm doing the same thing. For me to achieve 1.5 meg up and 15 meg down, I need 2 copper wires bonded together to be able to get that. It's just, it's bad. It's really bad. And the reason being is if you guys don't know it, a little techie thing here. The D-SLAM, which is close to me, is about 8,000 feet away. That is that location where the fiber goes, and then they send off, AT&T or whoever your provider is, sends off all the copper feeds. Well, when they used to have DSL, right? DSL is a powered service. That means there's power sending that signal down the line so it can go further. Now that they changed it to this UVerse crap, UVerse is very fast, but for a minimal amount of distance. The reason being, it's a non-powered service, right? So if you have UVerse, if you're not close to that D-SLAM, you're getting crap coverage. You're getting crap signal. Anyways, let's see here. KDA WGSS says, that's cool, HPI. Yes.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. That is a pretty cool car, is it not? Someone might have had a little something to do with that, didn't they? So let me just show you guys. I know some people have asked me about this, and I haven't shown it. It's been sitting up here. Let me try grabbing it before I go and pull this thing out of my ears here. See that? So there it is. That'll be the last thing that we see on the stream. You like that? And that is a gas-powered nitro engine car, all-wheel drive. Pretty cool, right? So this thing was about 23 years old. It was sitting in the garage forever. And yeah, my son-in-law came over and said, you know what, we got to get this thing together, and got a lot of parts for it, and we rebuilt this. And now this thing is a screamer. It's actually working, and maybe I'll do some shorts on showing you this thing ripping it up and just blowing out smoke out the side of it as it's going, I don't know, 40 miles per hour or more. So anyways, that's what you see behind me now. It is an HPI all-wheel drive nitro car. Let's see. BMI will be increasing. Big Mac. Yes, that's right. Mind-blowing, right? Yes, absolutely. Countryside says, thank you for the answer. Been watching a lot of your videos, just have seen the best effort yet. Yeah, I didn't talk about the best effort too much, but yeah, if you can get best effort, just get it. Just simply get it. You'll be happy with it. I'm using Starlink to watch the stream, and it's raining heavily here. So I'm glad to hear that. That's Winston Central Technology. So here, for some reason, our dish, my Mr. Bevel here, during rain, heavy rain, I get a lot of rain fade. Why that is, I really don't know. There's no obstructions. I just showed you on the phone. It is perfectly clear. But I get a lot of, how about you, Lonnie? Do you get any rain fade or any issues if there's heavy rain or snow?
Real heavy storms, yes. Yeah, we'll just lose signal. But I also have DirecTV, and it does exactly the same thing.
Really? Yeah, I don't know what that is. It was better before. Now, it doesn't make sense why that would be. I understand, like, if you have, congestion issues, but this isn't a congestion issue. This is actually where we're seeing dropouts, half a second, 2-second dropouts, 5-second dropouts, during this rain fade. So I really don't know what the story is with that, to be honest with you. I wish it wouldn't happen. I'm going to say that if you got that big, as I call it, the big ass dish, that HD or whatever, the big dish that is definitely a larger array, you're not going to have as much rain fade. But then again, it is $2,500. With $600 off, it'd be $1,900. That's a lot of money. It's super foggy here and it's working awesome, William says. Yes. Dovian says it's, no buffering. That's good. I like that. Let's see. How often should you upgrade your camera body? For example, over the last 3 years, the Sony A7R3, the R4, the A1, the A7 IV have been out. So for me, I do not upgrade a camera body unless another camera body does something that I need it to do that's going to make me money or make my life less miserable. In other words, do things easier. I would much rather spend my money on a piece of glass, a lens, because lenses are forever. Camera bodies are like toilet paper, and you're constantly throwing them out and getting new ones, right? Because it's all there is like a computer, and they're constantly getting tossed, right? So my opinion is if you're looking for a new camera, if the camera you have does what you need it to do, get a new lens. If it doesn't need it, it doesn't do what you need it to do, get a camera that is at least one body back from the current. Because the current one, you're going to pay top dollar for it, and literally within 6 months, it's going to be, it's going to drop $1,000, let's say. So just be careful with that when you get the latest and greatest. This stuff just, it's like cars. You drive them off the lot, and you just lost like a ton of money. Same kind of thing with cameras. Let's see. Thorne says, just got back from walking my dog. How did we get into RC cars? I have an old Tammy. It's yeah. So this car, what I was saying, if you just got back, this car is like 20, I guess it is 20 some years old, something like that. Yeah, 20 some years old, and it wasn't running, and the motor was seized and the whole 9 yards, and we just got it up and running just recently. It is a ton of fun. You know what? Let me take this off. If you're interested in it, let me just take this off. You can see what it actually looks like, because this is not just it's not like an electric car. This is a nitro car, so it burns nitro fuel. And yeah, so that's what it looks like. So there you got the tank, and then you have your engine, your carb, your filter, and it is all-wheel drive, right? So this thing is it's pretty badass. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to go and rip around with. So like I said, I might do a video on that. Maybe people are interested in it. If they are, maybe I'll do more of them. I don't know. I have a lot of fun with it. So let's see. Thorne says, I get rain fade. It actually is better in a hurricane than in a rainstorm. I had a hurricane rip through here too. And the Starlink actually did quite well during the hurricane. Literally getting gusts of 60, 70 mile per hour. And we even had a tornado come through. And that thing stayed I can't believe it. But yeah, it did really well. I even did a video on it. And I showed it was like ripping. I mean, absolutely ripping, and it had no problem. Let's see, upgraded to a D50 or a D850 after 5 years with 291,000 clicks to a Z9. Congratulations, William. That D850 has another 2,000 clicks on that thing, probably. I wouldn't doubt it. Those shutters last forever. That is a great, great camera. They did a fantastic job with the D850 compared to the 750 that had recall after recall after recall, if I remember correctly. So anyways, guys, so Alani, anything you want to say? Jump in before we get out of here.
Joe, the only thing I was going to let you know is I timed it because it's interesting. I've got about a 1:43 delay between the image I see on YouTube and our conversation here in the Video Ninja.
A minute and how much? A minute and what?
43 seconds.
Gotcha. So that makes that.
So at one point, I don't know if you saw the video, I put on my watch, I held it my thumb, and that's when I knew, and I hit my timer. Yeah, it was a 1:43 before it actually came up on the screen.
So that's interesting. I know that YouTube it's inherently set to I believe it is a 15 or 30-second delay or something, but a 1:40 to me means that we're getting drops here and there, and it's pushing things back a little bit, over time. And over the course, let me see. So if we have a 1:40, and let me see, this stream is 2 hours and 14 minutes long. So we're looking at, it's not too bad, really. I mean, over the course of 2 hours and 14 minutes, so you got, 134 minutes total. And we're seeing, let's say if we have a 15-second delay. So, I mean, it's not bad. It's not too bad. I would imagine, so if we were on for 30 minutes or 20 minutes, you'd probably only have like maybe a 30-second, 40-second delay.
I just wanted to let you know about that because, if you bring in special guests or something else, it's just something you're going to have to coach them on.
Right, right. And that's one of the things that I used to tell people, and I haven't been on here for a while, so that's my bad. But when we have anyone on as a guest, I always want to make sure that they do not watch themselves on the feed, because if not, they're just, it's not going to be, they're going to be behind. So only watch in the control room, which you would see here basically in your Video Ninja that you're in right now. Only listen to me on there and only watch me on there, because if you actually watch on YouTube, it's going to be, you won't even know what you won't know what's going on. It'll kind of screw everything up.
But to let
Um,
you know,
yeah.
Video Ninja doesn't have your image on it.
Oh, it does not.
No,
Okay.
it's you or it's me, and then there's a screen that says Imaging Edge Webcam, and that's it.
Okay. So let me see. That's good to know. Let me see if
Okay,
let's
we're
see.
troubleshooting, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let me see if we can get that coming to you.
Yep, just turned on.
Did it? Okay. All
Yep,
right. Well, now we got it. All right, that's good. So now you can see me and hear me through Ninja.
correct.
Okay.
And what you're saying here aligns with what I'm
Right.
hearing. And then on my
Perfect.
other screen, it's about a minute and 40 seconds late.
Right, which would make sense. That would be the actual the YouTube stream itself. So that makes
But to
sense.
me, it's amazing. You're down in Florida and I'm up in Michigan. We're both on Starlink internet and we're having a conversation.
We're
I do
having a
Zoom meetings all
conversation.
the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And all the while, we had someone else that was on Starlink too. And then we were now using my system to broadcast all three of us live, which is, you would never be able to do that with HughesNet or Viasat or any other satellite service at all, or any other rural DSL connection or any of that stuff. It's amazing.
Yes, I would agree.
So, anyways, very good. I will leave this here, and let's see where we end up with. We will go, and I'll probably leave this as I'll probably put this online and just leave it online. Normally, I delete the lives, but we had a lot of good conversation here. I think I'm going to leave this one online so that people can go and reference it if they want to watch it. I know it's very long, so they can kind of fast forward it as they will. And if anyone wants to take a look at any of the rest of the Starlink stuff, you can always go over to my playlist. That's number one. If you want to take a look at any of the stuff that I've invented over the many years for photo and video, you can find it over on B&H store. In New York, as well as online. You can also find it on Amazon or over on my store on JCristina.com. You can take a look over there. If you want to take a look at this book, you can find it on Amazon or through me or anywhere else that you can find books. They're just about anywhere. It's basically everywhere. If you want to build an Unraid server with your old parts that you find in your garage. That was a really fun project, Lonnie. That was a lot of fun. And it actually works, and it's literally used daily for almost a year and a half now with no hiccups. Can't beat that. That's,
No.
it started out as a little project, and it turned into something that just turned into a book and something that I use every day. It's amazing. So, but anyways, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate you for helping out, test all this out. And hopefully in the next one, you can stop by and we'll have you on too, and we can kind of discuss things.
Well, Joe, no, thank you. I really do like watching your videos. I'm a techno geek at heart. And if you haven't seen the lights and everything around me here in my basement office, right? I mentioned I'm running a 5 monitor setup, and I've
It's
got
amazing.
Starlink SX in the upper left corner. I've got the Dishy network statistics in the upper right corner, and then I work in the middle screen, and I've got two other screens to do web searches and everything else.
So what do you do, just real quick, what do you do for what's the profession? What do you do on a daily basis?
I'm an engineering manager for Chrysler. So
Okay.
I manage a team of people. We develop the calibrations that make the vehicles go down the road. So I
Nice.
really enjoy my job and have a lot of fun with it. And when we moved out where we're at now, which I love, I live on 3 acres. I see more deer in Turkey than I do people.
That's sweet.
And the one thing that really shocked us when we moved in is the only thing ran from the outside world into our house is the power.
Right. Yep.
No gas. You got LP,
Hmm.
and no internet, no phone, no anything.
Right.
For
No
the first
septic, no water, dig a well, run septic, all the rest.
for the first 3 months we lived here before we got the Starlink, I had an old Asus router, wireless router, and a lot of people didn't know it has a USB port on it that you can plug a phone into and hotspot your phone to become your internet.
Wow.
So
Yep.
for 3 months, my wife and I would, when my data ran out, we'd plug her phone in. And we
Nice.
literally ran the house off of our cell phones. And you're talking about a techno geek here that wired up the house with an Echo Bee and Amazon Alexa and all the bells and whistles. So we were happy as a clam when we actually finally got our Starlink.
It's funny, like I hear Diamond, I hear Chrysler, and I used to build cars, and I was a turbo guy, so I went from like supercharged M3 to it was always like a different turbocharged car, and I remember the last car that I ended up. Or one second to last car that I ended up building out was, and I'm sure you'll remember what this is. This was it was the Chrysler. It was the Eagle Talon, all-wheel
Oh,
drive,
yes.
right? So so if people don't know, it's a Eagle Talon all-wheel drive. It's a 4-cylinder, and pulled the motor out of it, built it from the crank all the way over 30 over. Did a 26-pound boost, turbo on it. Fully everything was done from the ground up, and it was putting out just under 600 horsepower with 4 cylinders to all 4 wheels, and it still had air conditioning in it. It was all black. It was a beast of a vehicle. And if people don't know what an all-wheel drive with 600 horsepower feels like, it will stick you in the back of the seat. You cannot touch the dash. That's how much torque that thing would have. So 2,600 pounds of boost. The only problem that I had was popping those head gaskets because of the amount of boost. It just I literally would take those ARPs, the studs, bolts, pull them out of the block, out of the head, and you would actually, if you take a look at them, and you will see that the stretch,
Stretch.
right? You can actually see where it's just you couldn't even imagine how much sheer amount of power that would be to stretch bolts. But yeah, it would actually stretch them. So that was the biggest problem that we had with it. But yeah, that was a lot. I mean, that was just amazing car.
I've worked in the diesel engine space for 30 years, so I
Oh,
certainly know turbos
yes.
and high power, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Big, massive, massive turbos. Absolutely. A lot
I've,
of fun.
I've got a 1-ton dually outside right now, a test vehicle that's got over 1,000 foot-pounds of torque.
Jeez.
And
Thousand foot
I mean, that
pounds.
truck is so big, you can haul a trailer behind it that the truck, you got to be careful.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there enough
It
truck
has
there to
all
control
the
the
power
trailer?
galore. It doesn't you have plenty. You don't even know what to do with it all. It's amazing. It's amazing for
But
sure.
talking about your Eagle Talon, my son just a couple years ago got himself right after they finished production one of the 124 Spider Abarths
Hmm.
with that little turbo in it. That's a fun little car.
And it weighs nothing, right? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that is definitely a little. That's a little. Yeah, I like akin it to the go kart. It's just a fun little whip that you can just cruise around with. So there. I mean, I'm very into the cars. I don't build them anymore. I just don't have time. But it was a lot. It was a lot of fun building all the different cars I've built, and I went from originally doing 283s and 350s and 396 Rats and 454s, building those out, on the Chevy side, and then moved into all of the Jap Rice stuff, Just had a blast. My goal was always to try taking 4 cylinders and be able to put out the same amount of horsepower as a V8 would, and that's basically what we ended up doing with that Eagle Talon, 600. I think it ended up running, I think it was a 9.9 and a 10.1 quarter mile, which is
That's
just
cool.
which is just amazing quick with the pulley that's running AC, not
Now,
completely
can you
gutted.
imagine? You can walk down to your Dodge dealer today and you can buy a Charger or a Challenger that stock will beat that. And
I know.
that's crazy.
Absolutely. I know. Like the Hellcat is a nasty thing, and there's a lot of we used to my wife used to do, she still does hair and makeup for celebrities and whatnot, and one of the celebrities was one of these dealerships that was the biggest Dodge dealership down here in South Florida, and we did them for many years before they sold it, and he had a Hellcat in there, was just I think it was 1,000 plus on that thing. I believe it was like 1,000 plus horsepower. That is a nasty car. So, but
They sound wonderful when they start up.
oh yeah,
But if you don't know how to drive it
oh
and
yeah,
how to
yeah.
treat it correctly, it can hurt you.
Oh yeah,
You've got to respect it. Yeah.
oh yeah. That's definitely a respecting car. For sure. But anyways, Lion, thank you so much for being here. Everyone, thank you for coming, hanging out with us, and testing this stream out. And we'll try doing this maybe once a week or every other week, and see how it goes. And what I'll probably do is like an end of week and do a recap, if not like the beginning of the week and recap the week prior or something like that. And if you have any questions or anything at that time, jump online, hang out. And if you can, and you have either your phone you can use, or if you have a webcam and a mic, you can do like Lonnie's doing here and hanging out with me. We can go live and have at least 2 of you on at any given time. Next time I'll set up a green room. So instead of just having this room, there'll be a green room where everyone can go. That's what I used to do. And I could just drag people in live. So anyways, thanks again, Lonnie, for hanging out. Appreciate you.
You got it, man. Have a wonderful night.
That's it, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. God bless. See you in the next one. Bye.